Welcome to People. I'm Shirley Lin. Today my guest is Shirley Lin, who is the producer of this documentary called Trash to Treasure, which was recently nominated for a Golden Bell for the Best Nonfiction Director Award. Well, let's welcome Shirley. Hi, Shirley.
Hi. Hi, Shirley.
Yes, good to have you here. Thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you. Nice to be here, too.
All right. So your actually title is Director at your company, which is Dynamic Communications Company.
Yes.
And but this time for this documentary, you were the producer. And actually, you've been producer and director for quite many documentaries. But let's go way back, like how you got into filming. I know that you also got into art before. You actually studied abroad. So you want to go way back and talk about all that?
Back 20-something years ago.
Whatever.
So I graduated from high school here in Taiwan. I was born and raised in Taiwan. And then I went to, actually the first year I went to Texas. Went to Texas to study for English. The first year, like the language school.
Yeah.
And then I went to Los Angeles to study art, fine arts, because my mother is an artist. So
Right.
Yeah, so growing up, I always wanted to be an artist.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, you were into calligraphy and all that too. I mean, like you've got some real deep, Chinese roots in your art that you started with.
Yeah, my mom is a traditional Chinese painter and calligrapher. So me and my brother, we were trained to practice Chinese calligraphy and Chinese paintings when we were a little kid. I think we start to practice Chinese calligraphy before I can hold a pen.
Are you serious?
Uh-huh.
Really?
Yeah, so we can both write Chinese calligraphy pretty well till now, I think.
Yeah. Well, you know that my mom kept one of my calligraphy books. And I don't know if your mom kept yours and your brother's till now, for...
Probably not, I doubt.
Oh, well, that's too bad, because I know a lot of foreigners think that calligraphy is like drawing. It's art. It's not writing, And it is a beautiful thing. But I think, do you think it helps you with discipline, learning calligraphy?
Yes, definitely. I think it has a big impact, big influence on me to what I'm doing now, because I study Chinese calligraphy and Chinese painting, and then I changed to more Western contemporary art when I was in college.
Right.
But all the contemporary art, you can still see those elements, like the Chinese calligraphy and paintings. And the later, actually, I study in grad school, I study experimental animation. And my animation was all done ink on rice paper.
That is amazing. You did them all yourself.
Yes.
The painting using ink on rice paper. Why rice paper in particular? Because I know it kind of, what do you call it? It spreads the ink. And that's the effect you wanted to give. So like a mystical kind of feeling.
The rice paper itself, the texture, it's kind of half transparent, and then if you touch it, one side is smooth, the other side it's more rough.
Right.
So it's very different than any type of paper, like regular paper. So I mean, I always have this special connection with rice paper and ink. That's why, like later on, a lot of my artwork, I still choose to use that as my medium.
All right. Call me ignorant. When you use the rice paper, do you use the rough side or the smooth side?
Smooth side.
Oh, okay. All right. So, yeah, I do see a lot of that, the Chinese painting and using ink and rice paper in a lot of your artwork. And then there's also this other element that I feel like you try to focus on a lot is simply the topic women.
Yes.
Yeah, why is that? Why do you feel so strongly about or like trying to make a statement, the fact that you are a woman and that you are a special woman?
I'm a special woman. Actually, that also has something to do with Chinese calligraphy and painting in a strange way, because talk about discipline. It's a connection between me and my mother as mother, like 这个 woman kind of connection, but close way.
Yeah.
But when I do Chinese paintings and calligraphy, because the history of this art form, it's very different than the Western contemporary art. It requires you to say, if you sit, you have to sit straight. If you write, you have to, lift your arm. You have to breathe certain ways. And as a woman...
Breathing too?
Yes.
Really?
If you stop, let's say if you write one piece of calligraphy and you stop halfway, you go to the bathroom. You come back, the writing will be different. So they say 一气呵成. You have to breathe when you start.
Do it on one breath.
Yes, throughout the whole piece.
Oh.
Yeah, and then also in Chinese painting and calligraphy, they emphasize the moral part. It's not only the technique, it's important. You have to have this high moral to be the best painter and calligrapher.
Yeah.
And I always thought that's kind of symbolized like the restriction to, as an Asian female artist, you have all these rules. It's a strange connection, but that's how I see it. And as a Asian female artist in Taiwan, you do have all these pressure either from family or from society. There are certain things you can do, certain things you cannot do. And for example, I remember like as a little girl, my grandmother wouldn't let me, when I had my period, my grandmother wouldn't let me be near like the temple or touch the incense,
Yeah, this is all, how to call it? It's religiously related or maybe a superstition.
Yeah.
It's supposedly an omen, to do certain things. Yeah, okay.
So, and I mean, that's just one, maybe a little bit extreme example, but there are many things. I think growing up, I found it's a little bit difficult. And, as an artist and as a woman artist, that's why a lot of my project, it's about women. So my first animation is called Woman. Before that, a lot of my painting, it's about this little girl struggling between East and West, good and wrong, what's good, what's a good Chinese, Taiwanese woman should act,
Shirley, you to me seems to be a very outspoken woman and who is not afraid to make a statement and who, is not ashamed to let people know, the delicate side of women or something, because you're very expressive in the artworks that you do, especially these animations, and like, you actually have the part in there about women getting the period and that kind of stuff. I would be kind of squeamish, because I don't know, but you're not afraid to express that. And I think eventually also in your other works, as time went on. Why this boldness? Do you think different cultures has affected you? Or is it your mother? Or is it the different countries you've lived in? And I know you've lived in the States. Have you also lived in Europe as well?
Only last year. Lived in Paris,
okay, yeah.
But I think when I went to the States, I was 19. I was pretty grown up, but it's young enough to, it's like at the age of still accepting new things. And I think went to LA to study in a fine art, crazy art school. And, it really did open my eyes. And I think it changed me, not like a dramatic way. It just brought more like the real me.
Did you go through shock? Not so much as culture shock, but more like, you went to the art school, right?
Yeah.
But you realized because, how you and your brother, your mom kind of made you guys do calligraphy and you're very restricted and, poised and about, focusing on morals and that kind of stuff. But then all of a sudden you're in the States and the way art world is. And art people, they do all kinds of things. and I'm sure you were exposed to those, or at least you learned about those. Did you go through shock?
Yeah, I remember one of my professors in college said, I said I had culture shock. He's like, no, you shocked the culture. But I think it's because, you know, like here, even now, I think there are certain things people tend to be a little bit shy about, like you act or talk sex in public. Mm-hmm. You can talk about it, but you know, people are a little bit shy about it. And in LA, it's just like it's out
just
there.
Right there.
Yeah, it's out there, and then it's like everybody's seeing more casual to me. And, you know, to a 19-year-old girl, it's like, oh, this is great.
This is great.
And I remember I did this installation with a room full of, like, breasts and penises, like, all over the room. Mm-hmm. And it was symbolized, like, you know, different sizes, to symbolize, like, the status of, you know, women and men. And I remember my mom saw it, just a picture of it.
Right.
I think she was pretty shocked, but she didn't say anything. And she always told me throughout the years, she always said, "You will come back to Chinese painting." I think she, like, you know, secretly she was hoping that her daughter would go back to the normal path, you know, in her mind. But
oh, that is so funny. But at least she respected you. She didn't like outwardly say, "Oh my goodness, my daughter, what have you done?" You know, not in front of the public or something like that. But that's great. That's what we need. You know, parents that respect our I don't know, our surroundings, our freedom, you know, our boundaries or whatever. That is so neat.
And I think I did all the things that she couldn't do. So I think she's probably pretty happy.
And envious of you, maybe?
A little, yeah. Like went abroad to study. She always say that's her dream. But you know, I made her dream come true.
Oh wow, that is really neat. Did your mom ever visit you in the States?
Yeah, when I graduated from college.
And she stayed with you for a while, so she got the feel of what the culture is like and all the customs and habits there.
A little bit.
Yeah. She was shocked then. She really went through culture shock.
A little bit, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how did you go from there into filming? Did you ever thought that you were going to go into filming?
Never. I always wanted to be a painter, wanted to be an artist, fine artist. Fine artist, it can, you know, I did videos in college, but I always thought, okay, I can paint, I can draw, I can do installations, I can do videos, but these are just my medium, the medium I choose to express what I want to say. I never thought I would actually go into film that, you know, make film as a director and make a living. Never. And it was very strange. I think life is strange. After I graduated from college, I went to grad school, major in experimental animation in Cal Arts. And luckily, my graduate thesis, Women, won a lot of awards from different festivals. And I won a lot of money.
Okay.
And so at the time I thought, okay, this is a sign. This is a sign for me to keep, you know, to continue to make films. So after I graduated, I kept making films. I kept making experimental film. So my second film is called Papa Blue.
Yeah.
It's about my father who suffered from depression. So that film was about 13 minutes, and it's a combination of documentary and animation. So I shot partially my father doing his daily life things, and I recorded our daily conversations. And with animation, everything's still done on rice paper. And that film also won a lot of awards, strangely.
Right.
After that, but that was finished in another 3 years. And that was the film led me to National Geographic, actually.
I see.
In a strange way. It was the year 2004 one of my very good friend's husband passed away. And at that time, I thought, okay, I'll make another short film for her with the story of her. And my brother told me, oh, you know, National Geographic, it's in Taiwan now, there's an open bid. Like everybody can submit proposals about their stories, ideas. Right. And he said, you have this ideas about your friend, right? I said, yeah, like, but why National Geographic will be interested? He's like, well, try it, like call them. And so I called the regional producer, Mei. She was in the States at the time. Okay. And I was in LA. I think she was in Washington, D.C. So I talked to her. She's like, yeah, it can be interesting if you make it into like a broader, more religion, like the folk religion. So I make this short little personal story into a 1-hour documentary proposal. And I submitted and I got it. That was it. Then the next 8 years, I kept making documentary.
That's right. Well, we're going to talk more about Shirley Lin's, these documentaries she's made all these years. But let's take a break here first.